A skyscraper hostel. A skyscraper hostel, it's a beautiful idea, a beautiful way of solving homelessness in any country, any city, by just building a massive building, a skyscraper with lots of floors, and designing it like a hostel, basically, with lots of beds, and the cafeteria where they can feed people, where they can serve healthy food with seconds and thirds, and have a computer area for people to for those people that want to get a job or start again, so they can do the research and find a new job. They can have a classroom where they teach about relationship with Jesus Christ. So if some people are struggling with something in life, they can always go to that classroom, and people can pray over them and help them to break free from addictions or things that are making it difficult for them to function in life, in the society, as you would say. And everybody would have a roof over their head. They would have clean sheets, clean beds, clean pillowcases, clean blankets. There'll be lots of showers, so everybody can take a shower. And it would be nice if they can even get like a clean shirt and a clean jeans, maybe even a brand new shirt and a brand new jeans. In some stores, they're not that expensive. The generic brand, they're not. I mean, sometimes you can get like 10 shirts for like $25 or $27 or something. So if it's 10 shirts, if you divide that, I mean, it's really not too expensive to give like a clean shirt to someone, and to provide a clean shirt to someone that's homeless, to someone that's on the streets, to someone that has nothing. To give them a clean shirt and clean pair of jeans. Some of them are like $12, generic brand. I mean, you can always order in bulk and maybe pay like $10 per or $7 or $8 per pair of jeans. So it's one of those things. It's not too expensive to provide like brand new jeans and brand new shirts if it's a generic brand from some store where they sell everything cheap. As long as it's brand new, that helps. So if someone is homeless, dirty clothes and has nowhere to go, they can go into this place, It's basically it's a shelter hostel, but it's a skyscraper shelter hostel. So they can get clean clothes and a clean bed to sleep in, and food to eat in the cafeteria, so they can function better, so they can think better, so they can think clearly. And of course, there'll be security guards over there also for safety reasons, and they can have a specific area with lockers, so people could put their valuables or their documents or their IDs or their credit cards or debit cards or money, whatever that they have. They can lock it up with a lock. And there'll be cameras pointing towards those lockers, so that everything will be recorded, so nobody would break in and steal. And they can always have a certain time when the lockers open up, so everybody would kind of be in line. So nobody would be there before everybody else. So you can have a certain line where everybody lines up in the morning and at nighttime, or just before bedtime. They can always create a schedule where others would not have an opportunity to break in and steal the valuables from others, from other people that have something in the lockers. They can also have that pacing room. If somebody likes to pace and is bothering other people that are trying to sleep, they can always ask that person to be in the pacing room. They can also have another room where there's chairs and people can just sit there. I mean, it could be in the pacing room, or it could be a separate room. So that way, people that need the rest and to sleep can rest and sleep so they can function in the morning, so they can continue doing what they were doing. Let's say if they found a job and they just need to rest, so they can go and function at their job, so they can rest properly. Or someone that does not have a job still needs to rest, function properly. So if anybody that's pacing, walking back and forth, staring people down, they can always be moved to the pacing room or to the other room with the chairs, so they can just sit there. And of course, it'd be nice probably to lock that room so they will not come out of that room and go back into the room where people are sleeping. They can always separate the floors. They can be all women's section, all men's section, all children's section. They can always do that in the Skyscraper. And there's so many bunk beds can fit on each floor of the Skyscraper. So technically you can build just a few. It depends on the country. I mean, in America, I mean, they can build something on the East Coast, on the West Coast, and something in Midwest. And that's about it. Basically, you have the 3 skyscrapers, and anybody that's nearby can always go there and get a bus ticket and go there if they wanted to. I mean, but in some other country, it can just be one skyscraper. You know, there's not a lot of land. But technically, there's no more homelessness because people have a roof over their head. It's the same logic as a big family is living in the same one house, and they're all sleeping on couches and on beds and on any other object that they like to rest on. Bunk beds, I guess. Beds and couches are good enough. But in the sense that there's so many people in one house, but all of them have a roof over their head and they're not homeless. So if you ask them if they're homeless, they would say, no, they have a house. But, there's just enough room to sleep there, right? But at the same time, it's still their house. So to have a house, it doesn't automatically mean that, it's only like for a family of 4 or 5 and it's a 2-3 bedroom. Sometimes it could be a 2-3 bedroom and it could be like 20 people living in that house on bunk beds. And it's just one of those things. But the fact remains is that all of them have a house. All of them have a roof over their head. So if they ask if they're homeless, they're never homeless. They have a place to go to. So the same idea with the Skyscraper, there's this hostel shelter Skyscraper. It's big enough to house so many people and provide a roof over their head, and clean beds to sleep in, and nutrition in the cafeteria, the three meals a day with seconds and thirds, so they can function better, so they can function and be the best they can be, and eventually, eventually they'll save enough money so they can just get their own place, get their own apartment, or rent a room, or rent a condo, or maybe save enough for down payment and buy something, buy a mobile home, buy a regular house, or buy a condo, whatever it might be. It depends really on the situation, but they can save their money that way and get back on their feet and go back into society and function in the society by paying taxes, and it benefits society when everybody's paying their taxes and spending money on things, and instead of being homeless with nothing, walking back and forth. The idea is to help a person to get back on their feet so they can function better, so help them in life, and at the same time it helps the society back. It helps. It's almost a necessity to have this hostel shelter Skyscraper, so that people can always have something to go back to if something happens to them. So you can always know that if something happens, they can always go to this place. They can be safe there. They can have nutrition, and they can start again. They can try to get a job again, or they can save the income they're receiving, whatever they might be receiving, save enough so they can go back into the society and be okay. Just this backbone, it's like a backbone. It's something that's a necessity, even for taxpayers, if you think about it. Just to have a country where you have this system set up, where if something happens to you, you can always go to a place where you're treated with respect, and you're helped to get back on your feet. And for some people, it might take too long of a time. For some, it might take quite a lot of time. But it just varies. But to create a system where it's just a bed, a person gets a bed to sleep in. So it's a clean sheets, clean bed, clean blanket, 3 meals a day. and be helped to, well, have this place where they can use the computers and do the research and try to find a job, or try to solve whatever they need to solve that way, in a sense of it, or if they need a certain income from something else, whatever it is that they need to get back on their feet. It helps so much. I think that it benefits so much. And there's no more homelessness. So now people can take a shower. They can have nutrition. They can function. And it helps the society. Sometimes people complain about seeing all these homeless people everywhere on the streets. Well, if they had this place to go to, you will not see them anymore. And they will be in the process of becoming better and going back to society and being just like just like the regular citizen, in the sense of, well, I mean, even when you're poor, I mean, the person is a citizen, but of the country, but at the same time, just being the same as everybody else, function better in the society. They just need that help to because of the circumstances that they're in. They need that help, and it's something that it helps. It helps so much. Otherwise, sometimes things happen and people don't know where to go to. And if they go to some shelter where they're allowed to stay a couple of weeks or a month, and then they're kicked out, and you cannot, and have to wait a week or something, or a month, or I don't even know. It just varies from place to place. And it's really, not every shelter has an opening. Not every shelter has a bed. And then it's designed really in a way that it doesn't really help as much. But if they have this skyscraper designed to help people to get back on their feet, and give them this nutrition, and give them this clean bed, each person a clean bed to sleep in, everybody will have a roof over their head, and they will not be homeless anymore. So it solves homelessness. Maybe that's tiny 1% that people are extremely, extremely ill, and it's hard for them to function. They might be kicked out. But for them, there's mental services. So in that sense, that helps them in that sense. So technically it solves homelessness. Other than that, to create this place where people can get back on their feet and save money basically, and then start paying taxes and just functioning normally, just buying things, paying for things, and having the money that they need to function properly in the society, to function the best that they can function in the society. And of course, to learn about God, to learn about Jesus Christ, for that class, about that relationship with God and through Jesus Christ, so they can spiritually be healthy also, so they can break free from anything that's making them stumble in life. It's a beautiful thing in every way, from every perspective. And then, so there's nobody on the streets anymore that is homeless because they have a place to go to. And at the same time, it also helps with the crime. There'll be less crime if sometimes a person doesn't know what to do, for example, and they have nothing, so they're more tempted to commit a crime. But if they're helped and with the necessities that they need, so then it helps even with the crime. It's there's less crime because people have a roof over their head, they have free meals, so they can function, and they're encouraged to find work if they're able to work. If they're not able to work, then to receive the income they receive, and to save money and either rent, save money for deposit and the deposit and the first month's rent. Sometimes people ask, or save money for down payment for something that they want to buy. Whatever it might be, is it maybe a car, maybe it's an RV, maybe it's a mobile home, maybe it's a condo, maybe it's an apartment just to rent. Now, of course, mention that, or maybe it's a house to buy, or it's one of those things. Or just to rent, or even just save money for to start renting again. So you have that down payment, to have that first month's rent, and then just to get back on your feet, to save enough money to pay for your necessities, for your groceries, and all those things. It's such a necessity in every society. That's when society offers that, it shows that they care about the poor. They care about the person that's in need. And how easy it is to solve homelessness, because everyone will have a roof over their head. They're no longer homeless. And at the same time, they're saving money to become independent and find their own place eventually, and live, and live independently, obviously. And when you put all these people in one skyscraper, there'll be so many people. That also motivates some people not to live there for a long period of time, but just enough to save enough money so they can get back on their feet and start living independently. So this idea really helps solve homelessness. There's less crime as a result of it. There will be less crime because people are helping necessities and are motivated to get a job or motivated to save the income that they receive so you can get back on their feet. So that when they're helped that way, some people that might be in that situation, they're less likely to want to, why would they want to commit a crime when they're helped with the necessities that they need to get back on their feet? So that really helps with that in that situation also. So there's less crime, there's no more homelessness, there's no more people walking around all dirty and all, smelly everywhere. Because they have a place they can take a shower in the skyscraper. They have their 3 meals a day. They have their rest. They have their time. And so it's a beautiful way to solve homelessness, to help people, to share about God to the classroom of a relationship, teaching a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. And people from churches can volunteer and pray for those people. And really the idea, even with any ministry out there that has finances, they like to build schools. And it's a beautiful thing to have schools. But it would be nice if, in addition to that, even ministries themselves would have some kind of a hostel shelter. It doesn't have to be obviously it's not a skyscraper because it's expensive. But even just build a building or renovate a building and make it a hostel shelter, and then people that go to that Bible school can actually go and pray for those people that stay in that hostel shelter. They can pray for them and help them. So it's almost like being interactive. Not only did you teach Jesus Christ to people that are in the Bible school that want to know about God, but you also interact with people that are in need sometimes, or just need prayers. They need prayers so they be blessed in life and helped in life. So you can actually go to this building that they have, that the ministry owns. It's a hostel shelter. If the beds are clean, everything is nice and clean, and the sheets are clean, the blankets are clean, and be nice that they can feed the people there also the 3 meals a day with seconds and thirds. It could be a smaller building also for ministries. And the people can just visit them, at certain days and just pray for everybody, encourage everybody in the faith, with the Word of God. So it's a beautiful way also for ministries that way, but also just for the country, any country out there, any country to build a skyscraper, that takes away all the homelessness. Now, as they live in that skyscraper, they can try to get back on their feet and no longer be homeless. So they can start renting again, or they buy something. So that really helps. But at the same time, it takes care of all the homelessness. Like all the homelessness is fixed. Everybody have a roof over their head. I know they're sleeping on a bed next to each other or on bunk beds, but everything is clean, like the hostels, like the traveling hostels. Everything's clean. People are there for them, trying to help them and to encourage them, and they're saving their money, or those people that are able to work, finding a job and working. And so it's a win-win for everybody. If anything, you would think the taxpayers would, or anybody that's really has a lot of wealth, it's a nice way to invest, especially if you add the classroom about Jesus Christ. Not only are you helping them with their basic necessities, but you also are spiritually helping them. So God appreciates when people invest in that. Even if somebody that's rich with wealth can invest in that also. And if the taxpayers' money is really used for that, that's so beneficial for every person, because you never know, something happens to you as a taxpayer. And what if something happens to you and you end up in that situation? You have nowhere to go. You're on the streets with nothing. But if you have this place, if this hostel shelter skyscraper, you can always go there and get back on your feet and take your time and get back on your feet and go back into the society again. It's such a necessity for any country in this world, for America and for any country and for every country, to have something like that, to have a big building that houses everybody. And of course it's safe there. They have security over there. And of course, if somebody is messing with people, they're always sent to the pacing room or to the room with chairs where they just sit there for the whole night. That's not another way to help solve the situation. Sometimes and of course they get locked in for the night, so they won't come out and go back and mess with the people and where people are sleeping. And then they get, but of course they can always knock if they need something, and then, they get that. And of course the door is open for them, common sense logic, and hopefully there's a restroom, close to that room or with that room, or if not, I guess they can always work something out in that sense of it. But yeah, I guess the idea of a design, it could be the patient room and then the room with the chairs, and people just sit through the whole night. It could be together with the restroom, so it could be locked. They can be locked in there, so they can use the restroom if they have to. So they don't have to go. So people don't have to go back and forth, opening it up, closing it up. But if there's but the room is not designed that way. They can always open the door and close it. They can always let them use the restroom and then come back in and lock them in that room. So the idea is they will not mess with anybody in the resting when people are sleeping. Otherwise, if you don't lock that room, they're going to go out and mess with the person, or they just go back and stay in that room and start pacing again and messing with everybody's rest. The idea is to rest enough so you can function better. Some people that have jobs, they want to rest that night. The idea, the whole thing with shelter is you want to make sure that you actually can rest in the night, you can sleep the night, and not be bothered by other people purposely because they don't like you, or because whatever the reason, or you're not local or something, whatever they come up with. And the idea is they're doing that to put them in this pacing room, or put them in a room with chairs so they can just sit there the whole night. That will motivate for the next night. Maybe they'll be motivated and say, well, I don't want to, sleep on the chair. Some people like to sleep on the chair sometimes. It varies, really. But some people, it will motivate people, hopefully, not to bother other people the next time. It's one of those things. And sometimes even if it's extremely cold outside or extremely hot outside, if somebody is bothering somebody in the sleeping area, there can always be offered that patient room or that sitting on a chair for the whole night room, and to be locked in there as an option, or of course to leave and find some other shelter or some other place or anywhere, or leave and find some other place to be. That's always the best way to kind of solve that. Sometimes it happens in shelters, that problem concept with. It would be nice also if they have a lounge room where there's a big screen TV. But the idea is not to watch horror films, not to watch killing films, people killing each other, horror, because all of that is spiritually a bad thing for a person to watch. And somebody that's trying to get back on their feet, you want to watch something encouraging. You want to avoid the horror stuff, the killing people stuff, violence, killing, all that. When you're in a shelter, those channels you want to remove from your TV, option. You don't want to subscribe, or you don't want to really turn those channels on. Spiritually, it's bad. It's just really bad. If you try to get back on your feet, you want to avoid all of that. You want to have anything else but horror and killings of people. Just watching it all of the time. It's just not good spiritually from a Christian perspective, and just from a mindset of healthy perspective. If you're trying to get back on your feet, you want to avoid all of that. Yeah, it's just one of those things. Just be on the safe side, from a Christian perspective, and just spiritually speaking. It's not healthy for the mind when people sit there, spend all their time watching horror films and films where people kill each other and violence and all that stuff. It's just not good. You want to be a family-oriented shelter where there's, positive things, everything positive, but definitely just crucial to avoid horror and killings, films, all of that stuff. Not to watch that in shelters, because other people might not want to watch it, but because another person is watching it, that they're forced to watch something they don't want to watch because they have to spend time there, and before you know it, it's like it's messing them up, and they don't want to watch this stuff, but they're afraid to say anything because another person's watching it. It's one of those things. It's so crucial just not to even offer that, not to have those channels that show that stuff. Amen, hallelujah. Glory be to God, glory be to God. So basically, but yeah, going back to that, so this way, go back to the shelter itself, or the hostel shelter, skyscraper, as it can be called. It really solves homelessness that way, and gives an opportunity for everyone to get back on their feet and have their own place over time by saving money and going out there, because not everybody wants to live in a huge skyscraper with everybody all of their life. Even that by itself will motivate people to eventually save enough and be independent. And so even for that reason, it's best to give people a lot of time to get back on their feet and not to create a big limit or there's this limit where there's this tiny limit, or is it big or tiny? I don't even know. What's the word? Not to have this limit where it's just you can only stay there a month and that's it. Because you can't do anything with a month. It has to be like people need to be able to stay there for a long time, so you can actually save something and be able to, function better. And it helps the economy when everybody's saving and having money to spend on everything, and they're renting or they bought something and they're paying their payment on it and they're paying the taxes and when everybody that's homeless are in that situation, it helps everybody. It helps the society. So it's for the benefit of people, and of course, hoping that they'll come to know about Jesus Christ and about God and the relationship that God wants from them, and try the best to apply that to their life the best that they can. Obviously, that's also spiritually speaking, it helps them to break free from anything that's a stumbling block in their life. So it helps in every way. It's a beneficial way to solve homelessness. Otherwise, this money that people sometimes, this money that's there for the homeless, but it's if you can just if all of it can just be combined and they can just build a skyscraper, it would benefit so much rather than just building a few tiny homes for some people. You spend all this money on some tiny homes, and a few people got lucky, got tiny homes, but does everybody have tiny home? I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, but maybe they can have both. Maybe they can build tiny homes and build a skyscraper, and then some people can apply for a tiny home and move out of a skyscraper. It's one of those things. I don't know. Sometimes you can spend so much money building a tiny home, but it's just like one person. When you can have this huge skyscraper with so much space on every floor, fill it up with bunk beds, clean floors, clean bunk beds, clean showers, clean everything like a hostel, and everybody have a bed to sleep in, have a roof over their head. They have this cafeteria where they feed 3 meals a day with seconds and thirds. They have the nutrition. Now they're going back out there and, trying to get those that are able to work to get a job and make money and get back on their feet. And those that cannot just receive some kind of income, they can save that money and then get back on their feet and start renting or buy something and make their payments on it, whatever it might be in that situation. So it's such a benefit for the society to have that. It solves homelessness. It really does. I mean, everybody have a roof over their head. I mean, to have a roof, if you're homeless, it means you have no roof over your head. You have nowhere to be. You're on the streets. If you put everybody in a skyscraper over a roof with a roof over their head, they're no longer homeless. And give them the opportunity to get back on their feet and help them that way. That's what really helps in every way. In every way. I hope and pray that people will see it, realize it, and make it happen. It benefits everyone. It benefits every country. If they can have something like that, it benefits America. It benefits any country out there. Glory be to God. Glory be to the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. This is Markov saying, God bless everyone.